Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. This is a slightly delayed episode because everyone was celebrating a lot. So, this is the review episode for our 6-0 win against the West Ham Hammers. Uh, so, I have today with me Arun. Hi, Arun.
Hello.
I've been watching Ted Lasso. Actually, I finished Ted Lasso recently. So, I have renewed my hatred towards West Ham before this game. So, it was.
I thought you were going to talk about your renewed hatred towards Ted Lasso because I couldn't complete watching the show. It was too much for me to take when I saw that a new guy came in and beat Pep. And I was like, motherfucker, we've been doing this for 5, 6 years and like
No, he doesn't beat. I mean, spoilers ahead, but he doesn't beat Pep.
no, I mean in the second or third season, I don't remember where like West Ham under that new guy goes like 5 games unbeaten and they actually beat Pep during that run. And that's
Oh,
when I stopped watching. I was like, no, you don't understand how difficult it is to beat that team, and you're not going to tell this to me. No, I'm not going to watch this.
this is the same Arun who watched Salar and was trying to watch that for 45 minutes.
No, I'm even worse. I am trying to watch Guntur Karan.
See, anyways, those are Indian movies. So before we start, I think the usual stuff, like share, subscribe, comment in. We are trying to make these conversations about more than just oh, we scored these goals and just talking about glorifying or degrading the performance. So yeah, please do continue supporting us. Hopefully, we bring in interesting discussions to the table. So with that out of the way, Arun. Yeah, so West Ham 6-0 win. Arun, 6-0 is always a happy place to be, you
Yeah.
know. And I understand that asking this question seems dumb, but like what I'm trying to get is that 6-0 is a great place to be and a great reaction to be. But there has been a lot of these conversations that we have outscored ourselves from last season around this time. Like 24
Yep.
games, we have outscored. But the 6-0 and the five goals that we scored a couple of days ago kind of like skewed that perception, is what I think. Or do you think that's also valid?
Well, it's the goals had to come at some point, right? Like it's either spread over a number of games or it happens in a single game. If it's not like we did not score in a lot of the other games in the past, it was only like very few games that we've actually not managed to score. So for me, I was like waiting for someone to nitpick and find faults with the win, and here you are, like
Yeah, I'm not finding faults with the win. I'm just saying, like, are we like, because you said the same thing, right? Like you said that because we had 7 games before the break where we did not play well, you needed 7 games to get back onto that
right, right,
conversation. That's why
right.
I brought this question to you. I'm being
Yeah,
a
for me.
smart host here. Come on.
No, but that's true. Like these are the kind of results that I want to see, which would make me want to believe that we are in the title, and I want to see it happen more often. As for the number of goals, for me, like I'm happy if we win games 1-0, as long as we win games. Like, but if we are winning 6-0 or we are winning 5-0, I'm not going to complain. Like as long as we are able to score goals in each of the games that we play, whether we win or lose, or like we win 1-0, we lose 2-1, we are able to score goals. That's the most important thing for me. How they are spread over the season is not something that I'm too worried about, as long as like we have the number of points that we require and the wins that like it would make more of a difference when we're talking about an individual player, because that's where like the spread of goals would be a very big qualifying factor. Since like for a striker, for example, if you take the goals out of the equation, the only other measurement would be like the one only other like meaningful numerical measurement would be the number of assists, and not everybody is great at assists. So like if a guy has 15 goals over this season, out of which like 7 were scored over 3 games, then he's not done anything over the rest of the game, and that's not the case here. So I wouldn't really be worried about the spread. I would in fact like look at it as something really positive, because ever since we came back from the break, we've had an insane XG. I'm like, XG is again like sometimes it can be very misleading, but then which means that we are able to create chances, and the best part is we are able to convert these chances. The thing that we were like worried about when we went on that cut of 1 win in 7 games. So I am really not worried about it. For me, like there is no reason to worry. In fact, like I'm happy because like we're building on from something that from after the break, like 2 against Nottingham, 5 against Crystal Palace, 3 against Liverpool. So it's not like we're being flat track bullies and only beating the team that are in bad form. We beat a fellow title contender at home 3-1. We literally outplayed them in that game. So spread of goals is not something that I'm worried about.
I mean, okay, so let's get back to the start of the game, right? Like, I mean, with the lineups, we didn't have, I mean, I don't think it was a surprise in our end to see the lineup that was put out there, especially with Zinchenko not available, with Tomiyasu not available. So Kivior has to start. And the same way with Jesus not available, Havertz or Trossard is going to start. That is going. The starting lineup from our end was not a surprise, but for me, it was a surprise from West Ham end because they were out of Paqueta and they got what's his name, Calvin Phillips, but they did not start Calvin Phillips. Was that a surprise to you, like that they did not start? I mean, he did not do a lot in this game. When you retrospect,
I'll tell you what's surprising to me. West Ham getting that player is surprising to me. Calvin Phillips playing minutes is surprising to me. So I was really not like surprised with seeing him, because in a sense we at least get to see this guy play, like someone that we probably got to see him play 5 games over the course of his time at Manchester City. So I was not really like surprised with that. For me, the more important thing was the fact that once we knew Paqueta was not going to be there, we sort of like knew they were going to be a pretty toothless in their attack, because he was the one who was making everything happen. So when you don't have that guy, the rest of the team is just playing. We know how dull West Ham play that. Like it's proper like 90s English football that Moyes brings in, and they wait for the opposition, they soak the pressure, they wait for the opposition, they wait for moments of brilliance from individuals, or rather individual, which was Paqueta, who makes things happen by like feeding Bowen or feeding the wingers or Kudus. Once like Paqueta was out, they were literally clueless. They tried to compensate for it with Kudus and Johnson and Ward-Prowse, but we did not give them that chance. So um, it was yeah, from their perspective, I don't know if they really had anyone else who could have filled that Paqueta sized hole. Like I don't know if anyone else could have joined in and sort of made a difference in that midfield or provide the output that Paqueta would have.
I mean, you mentioned about Calvin Phillips, right? I mean, I want to take a detour out of this conversation, out of this game a little bit there. A couple of years ago, I felt that the English player spread across Premier League was better. As in, like you had Saka and Ramsdale and White in our team. Then you had Rice in West Ham. Then you had like Calvin Phillips playing, and then you had like DCL somewhere. So these were like different teams had different players. Now it seems that the English talent is now concentrated in the top four, top three. There's not a big spread.
Parity has been restored, is what I would say. I mean, it was always like this. Right?
English team hater, Arun.
I know. I mean, like back in the day, this is how it used to be. You would only have people from like Arsenal. You would have people from United, of course. You'll have people from Liverpool and Chelsea. Like there would hardly be anyone outside of these teams. Ledley King, if he was fit, he would play. Otherwise, like I don't remember. Like Jamie Redknapp was in the squad when he was playing for England, Liverpool, not when he was playing for Spurs, if I remember right. So this for me doesn't really seem like a problem. In fact, it seems like everything is coming back to how things were before.
Yeah.
Like like a player like Calvin Phillips, or of course whatever we say, he could end up playing, because Southgate does not have any idea of the richness of the resources that he has at his disposal, and he's still going to be
I mean,
playing
when
like
he went to see what's his name, Henderson play instead of watching all the games that was happening in Premier
exactly.
League,
Exactly. Like,
just
what's the point of bringing Henderson back when you have guys like Declan Rice, when you have a Jude Bellingham? What is really the point of it? Like, I would even prefer Ward Prowse over Henderson.
yeah,
So given that, like, yeah, I'm just feeling that things are getting back to how they were before, where like the composition of the national team is made up of uh, the best players from the big 4 or 5 teams. I don't know, like, if Kane was there, he would be the representative from Tottenham, but right now Kane is not there either, and I don't know if they have a very good English player who's good enough to get into this team right now.
yeah.
So
I
so
mean,
it's back to being normal, I would say.
yeah, that's true. I just felt like Calvin Phillips was unused at City, not given the chance. So what's the whole point of the buy? Was what was going through my mind. But that's a discussion for another day. But coming back to the game, you actually made the point about like West Ham style of play, right? And somehow this has stuck in my mind for the last couple of days after the 6-0 win. What Arsenal are doing right now is we are the best set piece team in the league.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like when if you remember in yesteryears, like Wenger years and stuff, we used to say, "Oh, Stoke, the long ball or like set piece team." Like we used to call the set piece team as the dirty team, or we used to have that impression of not the dirty team, but they're like this is the last way of winning a game is how we would see. This is not like something that we have to explore. Not like that. It is considered kind of like as an Arsenal fan, winning from set piece goals was not a very happy feeling in the yesteryears. Like if I told you a couple of years back when Giroud, Santi, and all those people were playing, like six
Vijay,
nil
I
is a
think
score.
the pandemic has done a number for you, or number on you. Giroud, Santi were playing like 4 or 5 years back. We were still not into pandemic time. We are in 2023.
Oh shit, yeah. But what I'm saying is during that time, like when they were playing, if I told you a 6-0 win, would you assume that there were these many set piece goals in an Arsenal team?
No, I wouldn't. But then, like, that inability to score from set pieces or be strong in set pieces, and more importantly, the fact that we were conceding a lot more from set pieces back in the day was one of the main reasons why we did not win anything from 2004 to 2000 until now. I would say, like, these are things that are being changed because, like, we were just intent on playing one type of football back in the day, which was to pass the ball into the goal, pass the ball into the net. But now we are finding different avenues, which is like helping us combat teams that have no intent to play themselves, but rather wait for our mistakes to hit us on the counter. Like, we were having a very soft core back in the day. That's not the case anymore. Like, if David Raya is not conceding goals, it's not because of his goalkeeping. Like, the reason why, like, now we are able to see, I was very much against like Raya coming in for Ramsdale, but now I'm able to see what he brings, and the fact that Ramsdale is a better shot stopper, sort of, it's not a it's not a point of contention anymore because of the fact of how strong we are in nullifying chances. So when the ball is not going as far as the goalkeeper, then we really do not have to worry about conceding goals or like Raya being a good shot stopper. The exact same thing is happening at the other end. Like, when we know that if we get chances, we have a lot of options to score more goals. We don't have to frustrate ourselves just trying to pass vertically through the middle and trying to score goals in the most beautiful, aesthetic, pleasing way possible. Because the kind of teams that West Ham, Stoke City are, they wait to frustrate you and then score on the counter. But if we are able to score a goal or two against them, that's when they open up trying to score goals, which would eventually lead us to scoring more beautiful goals, if you want to say that. Like, the way in which we got the second goal was brilliant. Like, the passing, that was the ball that was put to Shaka. Similarly, the goal that Trossard scored,
Yep.
everything in the build up was beautiful. So it was not like we are just resorting to one form of goal scoring. or one form of set piece goal scoring. We are actually having even the set piece routines are so different.
That's
Each
what I
one.
was. That's what I was about to get to. Like, it seems like everyone's talking about it. So, of course, they're going to mix it up a little bit. Every free kick we take, Gabriel comes, talks to the free kick specialist, and then goes back. That
Yeah,
seems to be the case with everything that we are doing.
yeah,
And the other side of it is like, I mean, we know that our center backs are really good in the air, but them both scoring in the same game, and especially Gabriel. Did you know that the stat that was going around, that in the last 3.5 years, Gabriel has outscored every player
yeah, yeah,
in the set pieces?
yeah.
And this is including the players like Salah and Ward-Prowse. These are players who take free kicks, so they could directly score things. But this is a man who's a defender who's, I mean, I love Gabriel. Everyone knows that. So this is just like insane stat to think about. That
Yeah. Yeah,
this is.
that's what I'm happy about this squad, because there are so many different options to score, so many different scorers. When we talk about like the need for a number nine, that's where it makes you think whether the number nine or an out and out striker is really the person that we want in the team, with the spread of the goals across everything, so across the players. So um, I'm really enjoying this, to be honest. Like the way in which we are able to spread the goals, not depend on just one person for everything. That's a very dangerous thing to do, because like the more you depend on one person, if he's having an off day, then your entire setup goes for a toss. No big manager, no one who wants to win something big would entirely rely on one person, except for Ranieri, who did it with Vardy. But then like the possibility of another Leicester season or another Vardy season happening over the next decade or two is almost at like 1% or less.
I
You
mean,
know, so,
even then it was the same. Like there was no chance for that to happen. It was like out of that. That's why getting back to Ted Lasso. See, that happened, so that could happen. But
no, no, I refuse to take it. No.
but anyways, getting back to the game though, it's the first goal. It was great delivery by Rice. And talking about Rice, I mean, we need to take, before we talk about goals, we need to talk about Rice a little bit. Going back to West Ham, he was booed a lot,
Oh
and
yeah,
then like he played so good that at the end there was like claps. That
absolutely.
booing turned into claps. What a performance that man put in. And the surprising thing is, he's so tall. Like, the first instinct that I had was that put him in the middle so that he would be one of the heads to head that thing in. I
Yeah.
never thought of him as like the person who would be taking the free kick, especially when a team that has like shorter people in, like with
We
Trossard, with.
wouldn't have needed him to take free kicks if our other free kick takers were good enough to beat the first man. It's necessity, right? Necessity brings about
but
different.
it has been great. He's really putting the ball on the dot every
Yeah,
time.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's very enjoyable, like the way in which he's approaching his game when you really watch it. Uh, his delivery is a pinpoint. We see more of a threat from the right when he's taking the corners, as opposed to like a Trossard or Martinelli taking it.
Yeah.
So it again like brings in an extra facet to his game that probably even West Ham were not aware of in terms of set piece taking. So it's overall a big win for us, is what I would say. Like I was equally surprised, but because for me, one of the main reasons why we got Rice was for his physical ability. The
Yep.
fact that he's tall and he's able to he's able to beat people physically, whether he's when he's carrying the ball or go for duels or headers. But the fact that he's also able to deliver pitches of balls inside from set pieces, and when you have like people like Saliba or Gabriel, especially like we mentioned, who are like waiting for these crosses to make things happen, this is like an amazing feature of this game. His game, like whatever he uh, fails to do in terms of incisive passing in the middle of the pitch, like what you expect from a party, he more than makes up for this with these set piece deliveries. I don't know if we have another player. He's probably better than Odegaard from what we've seen so far in terms of
Yep.
the accuracy of the. So it's unbelievably good what he's doing right now. 105 million, like he's proving his worth like week in, week out, week in, week out. I think by the end of the season, we probably would have to put a disclaimer saying that Rice was amazing in this game, and we're not going to talk about him. So let's discuss about the other players.
I mean, I hope that never happens because it's a joy to watch. Even the goal he scored, it is at the end, like it's the last kick of the ball for him
Yeah,
in this game, and he scores that goal. And when I think back about all the goals he has scored for us this season, it's been like those goals that's uh, out of nothing kind of goals,
yeah,
like
yeah.
where
The one
he
against
creates
Chelsea
something.
was
Yeah, he just creates those goals out of like situations where you don't expect a player to score, but he
absolutely.
creates those situations and
Yeah,
he takes them on really good. I mean, yeah, 105 million, totally worth it. Totally worth it. There is not one person in this world who could question his worth on that transfer. But yeah, getting back to the goals, I mean, Saliba's goal was brilliant. I
yeah,
mean, the guy deserved it 100%. And some of it, again, is West Ham was not great defensively. Like, if you consider was it second goal or third goal, the Gabriel goal? I think it was the third goal, right? Yeah, it was the
yeah,
third
yeah.
goal.
The Ben Johnson's defensive marking was all over the place. Like the thing was they were super confused with what we were trying to do with the routines, with the players standing in offside positions and then trying to come back. That completely put them off. Like even when you see the replay of the goal, he's always like looking at people on the side, and he had no idea where these guys were. Like, and the same thing for the first goal too, Saliba's goal too. Like we were all at the far post.
Not just that, we are inside the goalpost or like almost
Yeah,
at the
almost
line
there.
of the goalpost. So like, what are we trying to do here?
And that's where I was surprised because like you saw the West Ham setup, we had four at the back post, I think, and they had two, and they had four of their guys in the near post when none of our players were there. Like so that was like it made it seem like they had no idea of what they were doing. They had absolutely no idea what they were doing or what we were doing. So yeah, the goals, all the piece close to goals were like brilliant.
Yeah.
My only worry was that Saka did not get a hat. He should have.
I mean, we missed so many chances in the first half. We should have had like in the game at least 10 goals. I was like, oh, I used to make jokes about like, oh, we'll see after Arsenal scoring 10 goals. But
Yeah,
really, this game should have had 10 goals on
it
it.
should have. Yeah, yeah. We
And
outplayed them. That's the thing, right? Like it was not just like um, we've been outplaying teams that have contrasting playing styles.
yeah.
That's the most important thing. Like forget about Crystal Palace; they are in total disarray right now. But if you consider a Nottingham Forest or a West Ham, they are very similar in how they play. Apart from the fact that West Ham probably has a little more quality than Nottingham Forest. And you
I
look
mean,
at
I wouldn't
Liverpool
say that at this moment. We will talk
at this
about
moment.
Nottingham Forest.
Probably, I mean, like if you put the as a team, no, but in terms of individual players, probably yes. So, and yeah, that's what I would say. Like and again, you compare that to Liverpool, who's another team is at the other end of the spectrum in terms of like playing high quality, high intense football. So we've been able to nullify these teams out. Now the only thing is, will we be able to do this continuously over the next 7 or 8 games?
Yeah,
Because like we have like 5 games until in the league until we meet City
yeah.
with like a very tough game against Porto away from home in the Champions League. So for us to like maintain this momentum, we need to win those next 5 games. The question
Mhm.
for me would be, will we be able to do it? You
The,
know?
the thing is, like, momentum is such a thing, right? Like, when you talk about Saka, for example, there's a lot to talk about Saka today, about missing out on a hat trick. The first or the second goal, where he steps up to take the penalty, he wins it, so he steps up to take it. It's such a contrasting thing because last year,
I
the
was,
West Ham,
I was like so worried when he was going to take the penalty. All these flashbacks of last season came in. The only
yeah,
difference was that we already had a goal scored this time, so it was not like a decider goal for a game. But I was really nervous for him.
but still, it's the same ground where, like, if you look back, a lot of Arsenal fans blamed that loss as the start of our downfall
The
from the
draw, yeah.
title race. Yeah, yeah, the draw is the start of the downfall towards our title
Yeah,
derailment. we keep saying that for his age to step up on the same ground when that could be the situation, when we know that any slip up would have major questions marks on him, to do that is, and it was great. It was great after to see him score that penalty. But I mean, do you think Saka should be the penalty guy or should it go to Odegaard?
We have two. That's good. I mean, like one is not able to take it, the other one can easily step in and take
For
penalties.
me, I would prefer if Trossard is on the pitch, put him as the penalty guy because I trust him more with his shooting than anyone else on the pitch right now. But okay, so Saka, regarding Saka, we also had this comment from Rio Ferdinand that's been going around in circles. I don't know if you saw that. He's
I
like,
did. I did.
Foden is world class while Saka isn't, is his comment.
I wouldn't say Foden is world class yet. I wouldn't say Saka is world class yet.
Okay, so let me ask this question then. Who is world class at this moment in world football? Like, who are the players? Like, give me like 5, 10 names.
Mohamed Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland. Um, from the Premier League, who else is there from the Premier League? Thiago Silva, probably.
He hasn't played.
He hasn't played. Like he's probably retiring, but then
That's a world class by reputation player. No,
reputation. Yeah.
No, I'm just
From
calling
the
him.
Premier League, I see these three and Van Dijk, Alisson,
Yeah.
Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah. I would say Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo, Rodri. Yeah, Rodri. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. These guys would be my like Premier League.
Do you think Vinicius Junior?
Heung-min Son.
Yeah, but do you think Vinicius Junior, Jude Bellingham are world class?
Vinicius Junior definitely yes, and I would say why, and I would also say why Bellingham isn't there yet because Bellingham has to do that more consistently. His role has evolved from being like a regular midfielder to being like someone who scores goals. So if we want to rate him based on his goal scoring ability, we need to definitely see more of that. Right? For me, world class refers to someone who's able to do it at all levels consistently without a loss of form or while maintaining high standards. Like if you to look at an entire season, if the player is keeping a 7 on 10 on an average throughout the season, and he's able to do it in the league that he plays in the Champions League or the Europa League that he plays, and of course Champions League gets the higher value, and for internationals, he becomes world class.
You're defining
Haaland
Saka.
has not done it for in the internationals primarily because of the team that he plays for. But every other league that you take him that he's played in, be it in Norway, be it in Germany, be it in England, he's had. It's even now we are talking about Haaland being out of form, but look at the numbers. He's the highest scorer in the league still, and he will end up with probably another 30-goal season. We know what City can do.
Yeah.
So that is Salah. 5 seasons, every single season, he is in the team of the season. Kevin De Bruyne, he doesn't play. He doesn't have to play for like 15 games in a season. But those 23 games that he provides you with would be minimum 8 on 10 performances. So that for me is the criteria. In terms of your output, in terms of your impact. People tend to think Foden is world class and he's better than Saka because he's pleasing to the eye. But in terms of the footballing IQ or intelligence, I would put Saka above Foden.
I mean, Saka has scored 51 goals in
Absolutely.
his career and 49 assists.
This is the first time that he's playing in the Champions League. That's a big thing against him.
Yeah.
Against him that would prevent him from being put into the bracket. But like if he's able to do that this season and next season he would probably branded world class because of the fact. The same thing with Vinicius, right? They both are probably the same age. But Vinicius has been doing that in the Champions League for much longer.
But that's because his team is in Champions League.
And it all contributes to it, right?
When it goes to like, if you consider that, then Vinicius has not done anything in the World Cup or the like for Brazil. He has not done a lot, but Saka has done more for England.
I understand
when you talk about higher stage, wherever you are is where you can perform. And Saka has not been in Champions League, and that's not his fault. His team is not in Champions League.
True. That's where it makes a difference, right? The top players play for the top teams. So when the top teams are able to perform, the top players play a huge role in the top teams being able to perform.
Yeah,
And
but in the chances he got, Saka has proven the same way as Vinicius has done. Vinicius has done it in Champions League. Saka has done for his national team. How can you put Vinicius in a world class? I mean, of course, Rio Ferdinand put Foden in world class for some other reason, which I don't understand.
I
But
don't
even
understand.
Vinicius and Saka, when I compare, I don't see that difference in when you compare it as an accomplishment based.
Madrid winning the Champions League plays also plays a big part in it, right?
But
Like
England went to the finals. England did
the finals, they didn't win anything.
okay.
Based on Rio Ferdinand's logic, Harry Kane is not world class,
Yeah,
but that doesn't
that's
make
not
sense.
true. That's what I
Exactly.
keep saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't. I'm not going. That's why I said like Foden is not world class either. Saka is not world class either. Like Vinicius is probably at like at the beginning of being called world class. He needs to again, like you mentioned, do it a lot for the Brazilian national team as well. But then the internationals are not rated as much until someone wins anything because of the fact that they've not played as much. So unless you have a trophy to show for it, you're not able to rake up numbers. And even if you rake up numbers, if there is no trophy at the end of it to show for it, it's not really considered like equatable. That's where I find like Haaland comes in. Haaland comes in primarily because if you take him and Odegaard out of the Norway team, Sander Berger is probably the only other person that I can name. Whereas the teams that Vinicius or like Saka play for, you have a lot of other players who should be working together and enabling each other to win stuff, but they're not able to win it. That makes a whole lot of difference. Like I said, Saka would be at current Vinicius levels next season if we are back in the Champions League and doing well.
I don't agree to it. So, like for the listeners, please do comment in on it. I don't think. I mean, I'm not saying Saka is world class, but I don't think Vinicius is either. If we don't consider Saka as world class, it's a very fine line, and I think that Vinicius and Saka are closer than what people are putting it as. Because of course, also it could be because I don't rate Champions League as the ultimate honor, and especially Real Madrid winning a Champions League, I don't rate it as an ultimate honor, which is my personal bias, I guess, or my personal hate towards Real Madrid for a lot of things. Um, that I think okay. Last thing about the game that I wanted to discuss is the substitution of our youngest player onto the pitch. Arteta said that players wanted him on the pitch. Thoughts on how you saw him and what you think as his performance was.
You know what? To be honest, I was really very happy to see him on the pitch. I saw glimpses of the potential that the kid has during the cameo that he made. Again, the fact that we were 6-0 up made it really easy for him to do things without having any pressure of things changing, the game situation changing because of an action that he would take. What was encouraging to see was like the fact that many of our players just kept passing the ball to him to have him get a feel of playing at the highest level, and he felt at ease too. So there was like no nerves. The way in which he moved with the ball, without the ball, and the way in which he passed the ball, it was all very nice to see. The funny part was like Jorginho, like you mentioned, Jorginho and the rest of the players from the bench, like wanting Mikel to bring Vaneri in, and there was a joke that while everyone else was, like mentioning Vaneri's name, there was just one voice that was saying like bring Cedric in, and that was Cedric. And that's why we saw both of them come. But it was nice to see. I mean, like we've been asking for this for such a long time for the manager to give chances to the young players and sort of give them a taste of what playing at the highest level feels, because like these are probably the brightest talents. Like Waneri is one of the brightest talents by reputation to come out of the academy, and if we want to tie him down to a contract with like clubs like City and Liverpool wanting him, we need to sort of keep up on whatever promise that we have made to him. And one of the simplest things to do would be like to give him some chances in games like this. I could also see why Walters did not play after I saw how the team celebrated that one shot on target that Bowen had towards the end of the game. They value their clean sheets a lot, so they didn't probably did not want to bring a defender into the fold at that point in time. But like giving Waneri the chance that he got was really nice. It was like a throwback to what we used to do back in the day. But like hopefully this should continue. Hopefully, like he does not need to get half an hour playing time in games. All that he needs as a 16-year-old at this stage of his career is like 5 to 10 minute cameos here and there where we know the game is won and there is no possibility for us to lose the game from that point. So if he's able to get that in the remaining 14 games or so during the season, that would be good. Like if in the remaining 14 games, if he gets to play like 45 minutes to 60 minutes overall, I would be happy.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest complaint with Arteta has always been that you don't play youngsters and stuff. So this was a nice thing to do, and but he also looked. I mean, it's surprising that he's going to turn 17. He looked a lot more mature. He looked a lot more physically active. Is that a term to say? But he looked better at handling the situation. But yes, as you said, 6-0 has a lot to do with that. And it's fun to hear that other players rate him that much that they wanted him to be there, to be playing this game, and it was fun to watch.
Plus, now that we're mentioning 6-0 again and again, one of the other important things was like another complaint was the fact that we were not going for the kill. Like we were not doing what Manchester City would in terms of like trying to create more and more chances and score more and more goals. But this sort of changed it. We like sensed blood, we smelled blood, and we went in for the kill completely. The 4 goals that we scored was in less than a 15-minute period.
Yeah.
So that was another nice thing to see. I hope it continues.
Yeah, I think that would be the end of our discussion for this game. I mean, we are not discussing much of the goals of late. That's been a conscious decision that was taken because every one of our listeners and every one of us are watching the games. So us describing a goal or a move is not adding a lot of value, is what we thought. So we will talk about everything else about the game has been our thing, but for anyone listening, like if you feel otherwise, please do comment in or reach out and tell us like what you would like to see us talk about the games. Arun, I think it's time for us to move on and talk about the Premier League games that happened during this match day 24. 24? Yeah, 24. Yes. It was not a big weekend, as in like there was no big teams fighting for
No.
there is no direct contest
No
about
Super
big.
Sunday game.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only
yeah.
one probably, if you could call it, was like the Villa United game.
We'll talk about it. I don't think there is a big game either, so that's a different thing. But let's start with City Everton, right? We know that City would win that game comfortably, but the surprising thing was Everton did have their chances in that game.
Yep, they did not. I don't think City had any shot on target in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. They did fight. They know they have to fight. So yeah, they did their job. But then when it comes to a game like this, the quality that City possess is always going to
I
overcome.
mean, did you see that goal like Haaland scores?
Yeah. I mean, like that's why I said like it's like the levels of skilled players and the levels of talented players that City can bring on from the bench is better than what Everton have in the first team. So your spirit can take you so long, but then like ultimately like when you come against a mission, there's only so much to do.
Yeah, I mean, when KDB comes off the bench, I mean, what can you do, right? Yeah, it was like, but the surprising thing is the City had 19 shots, but only 3 on target.
Yeah.
Out of which they scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
Which was unlike City, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, they won. That's all that matters. The other game was Wolves versus Brentford. 2-0 or 0-2 to Brentford. I did not watch the game. I did not.
I did not either, but I just saw the highlights, and it's very unpredictable with every game week, right? City, well, so I think like they beat Chelsea 4-2 the previous week
Yep.
away from home, and then at home they get humbled by Brentford, who are probably like having one of the worst wins of the season. Like
When I
they're
look at the stats, it's mind-boggling. They had 17 shots. Wolves had 17 shots,
yeah,
and they had 651 passes.
yeah, they dominated the game. They had 70% possession, but like it didn't amount to anything at the end. Like that's what I said. It's getting more and more unpredictable with every week. Like who's gonna win? We are more focused on fixated on the top six teams, but then like there's an entirely different battle going on between like teams from 7 to 20 or 7 to 15. So this is why I feel this is one of the most exciting seasons. Not just because of the fact that we have like the top five teams being separated by 7 points, but also because of the fact that there are so many other teams vying for Europe, vying for spots and competitions that we might have discounted them from in the past. And that's like raised the levels. There's no, apart from City, I really cannot say with confidence if a team would go and win, like when they are playing away from home. That's how unpredictable it has become. Right?
Yeah, but also like Tony came back and he's been scoring, he's been
Yeah,
doing something or the other every other game.
yeah.
Did we make a? I mean, if Hemant was here, he would say we made a mistake not signing Tony. But I'm just
No,
questioning,
but it
should
was
we?
not a mistake, right? We did not have the money, so it's all dependent on the money at this point. Like when we
Hmm.
don't have the money, it's now no longer a mistake. It's just like this is what we can do, sort of a situation.
Yeah, yes, I get that. The next game is the Fulham versus Bournemouth. I think it's a 3-1 win to Fulham. Again, I did not watch this game. I mean, this weekend I did not watch a lot of games, but I feel that Fulham is kind of the most unpredictable team, one of the most unpredictable teams. You mentioned about that whole, region, and Fulham plays a big part in that. Fulham and
Yeah,
Wolves, they just like they play one week like this, and the other week completely opposite. And
yeah.
do you think Bournemouth would stay up?
Bournemouth will stay up because there are like a lot more shittier teams there. Purely
Fulham,
based on that fact, Fulham will also stay up. Burnley and Sheffield are definitely going down. Everton looks like they are going to get another deduction. So if they do, they are going down. Even otherwise, the fight is between Palace, Forest, Luton Town, and Everton. Like and that region. Even Brentford is like part of the mix. But I think Bournemouth are safe. Bournemouth are safe definitely. I don't think they have like 15 games to get 13 points. I'm sure they'll be able to get that and be safe.
hmm. The other game is uh, Tottenham versus Brighton.
I was irritated with that game.
Yes, I
I
did.
was like, I felt like if I was an assistant manager to De Zerbi, I would have definitely punched him. You are playing away from home against a top 16. Take that point.
Yeah,
Take that fucking point and go. Don't try to do fancy stuff at the end of the game. And the way in which
90
they
plus 6. That's when
exactly
Brennan
the way in
Johnson.
which they conceded that goal, I was like, my God, this is so amateurish. This is not what you want from a top level manager. All these vibes and talk about, oh, we play the same way even if we die. Dude, you want to be playing in Europe next season.
Yeah.
You want to be doing that. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of players. How much ever good your scouting is, you're going to lose players. Make use of the chances that you have. Get points where you can. Like he could have happily gone home with 1 point. Ange wouldn't have been happy with 1 point. Instead, he gave Ange a great gift.
And the thing is, like, I mean, uh, at the start of the game, I think Brighton had one of the best chances, which uh, I'm 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 uh, I'm hating that I'm going to admit this, which is Vicario is such a top keeper.
Yeah,
He is one of the top 3 keepers in the league for me right now.
yeah,
That's
definitely. He's the second best after Alisson this season.
he's the save that he makes was great,
Yeah,
and the way he releases balls is great. But on the other side of it, when people talk about what's his name, the Tottenham,
Van de Ven?
yeah, Van de Ven is okay. I don't think he's that great as people talk about, but Romero is just shit.
Romero is a nightmare. Like, I don't understand how people rate him. It's all because of this fucking Lionel Messi. He said he's probably the best centre back I've seen. Dude, you played with Carlos Puyol.
Mhm.
Or like, did he say he's the best centre back in the world right now?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, don't trust these guys. It's like Pele saying that an African team would win the World Cup. Yeah, Pele is the greatest player of all time. Everyone respects it, but no African team has come any close to doing anything like that.
no,
So, like, we have to discount these opinions. Romero is like a ticking time bomb. A lot of Tottenham fans are also like giving up on him right now based on like what he's doing every game. They were trying to like fight for him based on his record and his tackling. They're now realizing he's not really tackling. He's just like a 1 inch away from getting a red card every single game.
yeah.
Van de Ven is good because of the fact that like he's got serious acceleration. He's got unbelievable acceleration and he's got like excellent recovery place and pace. He's faster than Saliba, but and he's physically good too. So that makes him a very good defender. But will he be able to sustain it? Because these sudden accelerations, when you're that big, puts a lot of it takes a lot of effort to do these.
So,
And it,
okay, so I mean, sorry to cut you off, but the thing is, like, I want to bring something on. We were talking earlier this season when Madison was out. We were talking about like, oh, and Van der Ven was out. We were talking about, oh, they are still playing the same way, and we were talking about it as a positive. But off late, in the last 3 games at least, when I'm looking at them, Madison's back, Van der Ven's back, and they have sort of their whole team except Son. If they sort of their whole team back, and they're not playing different, which begs to question: is Madison and Van der Ven, did they have a are they having a bigger impact on this team, or this team's level is only that much?
it's more to do with the manager, in my opinion. Like his attitude of not changing the way they play is sort of he's making use of the players that would fit into this philosophy. So when those guys like Madison or Son are not there, he's not resorting to changing his tactics or doing something like
Yeah, but
out of the
then
blue.
out and in doesn't make change much of a change. Does that mean that those players have that impact on the team or no? Like Madison,
They
people were talking about, oh, he's a signing of the season, but him being out and in hasn't
That's a
changed a
very
lot
good.
about Tottenham.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Like him not being there did not change what they did to a great extent.
Like when he came back, if
He
it changed a lot, then I'd have been like, yeah, he raised the roof when he came back. He did not raise. He's not looking like he's raising the roof. So I
the
don't understand.
3 games that they lost back to back was Madison there,
I think one of it, Madison was there.
yeah. So there was a bit of an impact felt, but I would just say they found a way to like sort of play win games. I don't know if playing well would be the right word to use here. With Madison, they play so much better, but they found a way to win games even without Madison. That's how I would put it. So
Yeah, that's more talk about Tottenham than I could digest at this moment. So moving on, like Luton Town versus Sheffield. Uh, do you think Sheffield won? In case you didn't see the game, I did not see the game again, but Luton Town and Sheffield, which is the better team of those two?
Luton Town.
But they lost.
Yeah, but this is one game that Sheffield have just been losing. Just the look at the table. I was actually surprised with this result because I thought Luton would win for sure. Sheffield scoring 3 against them away from home was a big surprise for me. Sheffield are at 13 points. Luton have like 7 points. Uh, they like 7 points with the game less being played.
Yeah.
So Luton are definitely the better team. I don't see Sheffield doing what Luton did to us or to Liverpool or to City wherever they play. I can see Luton doing that to more teams. So I would definitely. That's why I'm like confident that Luton would survive. My bet is on like Crystal Palace, Forest, or Everton going there. I didn't watch that game either, but I was very surprised.
Liverpool, Burnley. I mean, You
No, I
know,
don't watch these City and Liverpool games anymore, especially if they're like playing at home and playing against bottom half teams. It's boring. You know what the result is going to be.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I heard that Liverpool did not play well in the first half because it was a 1-1 at the end of the first half. And Burnley had more chances to score, but they squandered. But
You know what Liverpool can do even in a
exactly,
half.
exactly. That's why I don't watch these games unless they are playing like some team from the top 10, especially at
Yeah.
home. There's no point watching these teams play. Like it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be ugly for the other team. So yeah. I don't see the point of watching these teams.
But one of the interesting games of the week was, Nottingham Newcastle.
Yeah.
Uh, I really thought that uh, Nottingham Forest played a better game than Newcastle in this game. Like they played a better uh, brand of football. They had exciting moments more than Newcastle is what I thought. And you were mentioning earlier when we were talking about it that, oh, Nottingham Forest doesn't have players that, West Ham has. But if you look at their pitch, they do have players who are exciting. Like
No, yeah, true. Elanga is really good. Avoni is
Hudson
really
Odoi.
Hudson-Odoi. But Hudson-Odoi is like, yeah, he's the trick sort of player, but the decision making is all over the place for him. But like nobody is there at the level of say like a Bowen or a Paqueta or a James Ward-Prowse or like if that's where I
See,
find
the
the
thing is like, yeah, Paqueta, I can understand. But I don't think that Avoni and Gibbs White and Elanga are that much farther than Bowen or who's the other one? Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse has a set
definitely,
piece.
yeah. No, I would disagree. Kudus has been fantastic this season. He's better than Elanga for sure. Morgan Gibbs White is a good player, but Ward-Prowse is Premier League proven, and that experience that he has, and he's deadly from like you can when there's a dead ball situation for West Ham, you always fear that because of the fact that you know what Prowse can do. You don't get that fear against Nottingham Forest. So there are like individual difference makers, more of individual difference makers in West Ham than at Nottingham Forest. They've been playing well. I mean, like no denying that they've been playing well. They just need some luck to have results going their way.
Mm. Then the other big game for this weekend, or at least the exciting game for the weekend, was Aston Villa United. Is Emerying at last?
It's beginning. It's beginning to happen. They
20,
should have won that game. They
23
should,
shots, 10
yeah, they
on
should have won
target.
that game. I was like so very hopeful. I was again. McTominay is scoring goals. He's going to be sold for a very good price, even though everyone knows he's shit. But like the fact that Villa were not able to. Villa played a much better game than United. Villa were definitely better than United. I saw the game. United were good, but Villa were much better. But then, like these are like nobody's going to talk about this when we look at the table at the end of the season, right? If something falters and Villa, who are like favorites to be in the Champions League spots for till the end to come end of the season, fail to qualify somehow, it would be down to the games that were lost. Nobody is going to talk about how well the team played during those games. And I think they deserved it too for that celebration from Douglas Lewis. Equalizing and you're doing that, but you have 30 minutes to play. You could have won that game, and like you're
Yeah.
doing all that. It's not required. For me, that wasn't required.
Yeah, but my thing is about United a little bit. Um, I don't like Bruno Fernandes. I've never liked him. But this season, I feel like Bruno Fernandes has been not good at all.
That midfield is very unbalanced. So he needs to implement what the manager is trying to do in terms of their passing and positioning. Bruno Fernandes needs someone next to him, and he's not having that guy next to him who can help him do that. So Bruno Fernandes has been creating chances. He's been like a chance creator, but the Achilles heel for him is to be he's never like a complete midfielder. So that has always existed for him, and it's just like showing up more and more this season. Like United are like now that Mainu is there, Mainu has been very impressive in the games that he's played. Like both Mainu, Garnacho was also really good in the game
I
against
don't
Villa.
like her guy too.
He was very good. I mean, like you like him or not, he was really really good.
Doesn't matter. I don't like him. That's it.
So like when you have a kid like Manu, who's like so good at what he's doing right now, he seems like a proper talent. Like that should ideally make Bruno play better. And again, it all comes down to those two kids at the end of the day. Those two and Hoyland. These kids are the ones who are like helping them win games. Like McTominay scored, yeah, there was a great pass from Daru, but like everything that happened in the game for them, everything that was exciting for them happened through either one of these two guys.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean like they will finish in European spots. I think they'll finish within the top six for sure. United will finish top six for sure.
Last game of the game week was Chelsea and Crystal Palace. I mean, Chelsea had 2 goals in 90 plus minute to win this game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Same thing for Crystal Palace too. I think Hodgson would be like very disappointed with what his players did. They had a 1-1 going for them, 90 minutes at home. Uh, uh, Even a draw would have done wonders for them, given that they were playing against like a big team like Chelsea. But they again played really bad towards the end of the game, and like they let Chelsea score those two goals. So it was again frustrating to watch. Not just because I dislike Chelsea, also because of the fact that I thought Palace would stay up, but if they keep doing this, they're not staying up. And it's sad to see Hodgson going through all of this.
I think Hodgson will be fired before the end of the
Yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like, it's not his fault. The quality of players that they have, it's only so much that he can do with it. And more than Hodgson, I think the players need to put their hands up and say, like, yeah, we'll try to do something.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen, right? Like,
That's never
no,
gonna
I mean, no one's going to fire the entire squad for a manager.
No,
It's better to fire a manager for a
yeah.
squad. This has always been the case. Yes, I think that's the end of our take on this game week. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you everyone for coming in and talking about this today. For everyone listening, please do share, subscribe, and comment in and like. And yeah, see you after the next game. Bye.
Thank you.